Hello lovers, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. Hello lovers, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. How are we all doing? I've just literally realised in sitting down, I'm missing something. I boiled the kettle to make myself a cup of tea and then I never made it. That is the most disappointing thing that's happened to me recently. We might have to have a false start. I might have to do this again. Do I want a cup of tea? Yeah, I'm going to need a cup of tea. Hang on. It's a big day, guys. You can probably hear the kettle aggressively boiling in the background. Okay, all is right with the world. She has her cup of tea. She's back. Let's get cozy. Let's get comfortable because this episode, it could go anywhere. Okay. Before we get into things, I want to talk about something particular. I'm running a gorgeous little series over on Patreon this week, and I am so excited by this. This was quite a spontaneous idea. Let's go back a little bit. So maybe like a couple weeks ago, I woke up one morning and I was just feeling a bit sluggish. I was feeling unmotivated. It was really hard to get myself going. We all have those mornings some days, not every day you're going to wake up feeling like you're ready to slay the day. Sometimes it takes a little bit more time. So I was having one of those mornings and I was like, I don't need this today. I've got things that I need to do and I'm all well and good for prioritizing rest. Like I know I've got time this weekend where I can rest, but today I feel like I want to do something. But I couldn't settle on what that thing was. So me being me, sat with another cup of tea. There's a theme here. And started doing some journaling. I was just kind of journaling down my thoughts. And it settled in my brain that actually, gathering this momentum, this motivation to do something maybe isn't a question of actually forcing more energy outwards. Maybe it's actually looking at where I'm sending that energy and realigning it to better serve. So instead of pouring my energy into something that actually isn't, lifting me up in return, isn't, thrilling me in return, then maybe it's a question actually redirecting that energy elsewhere. So I had this idea of creating this little TikTok series, this soft girl summer TikTok series. And I did that for a week and I really enjoyed that. It was a nice way in which to kind of savor the softness of summer. And if you listened to the last week episode, you know that we made it even a sacred soft girl summer. Okay. And that was all well and good. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And then also on this morning, I had this idea. I was like, what if I actually bring this to Patreon? If you don't know, I have an online platform on Patreon where I share pre-recorded yoga classes, and I really hope at some point I'll be able to share some live class content too, just to create a bit more of a community feel on this platform. And I've been kind of steadily building this in the background, and it's like a little project that's just been slowly ticking away. And actually on that, I feel like whenever you're building something, whenever you're trying something new in your business, or whether you're even starting a brand new business, you've got an idea and you're quietly ticking away at the background, actually remind yourself to really enjoy that time. Because I know everyone, when they're building something, we have this desire for it to go big straight away. Especially in the social media world, we want it to go viral straight away. Everyone's chasing that viral video, that one video that's going to set the tone for this empire that you are creating. And yeah, I had a little viral moment on TikTok not too long ago. That was lovely. Thank you very much. But actually, savor the quiet moments when you're building something, because if you are building something and you're very early on, and yes, you happen to go viral, and on the launch you happen to go viral straight away, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of noise. That's a lot of demand that you've then got to manage, that you've then got to support, So whilst I've been just quietly creating this little Patreon page and uploading content here and there, and I've been really consistent with TikTok, actually it's been quite nice to savor the slowness of it, okay, and actually really enjoy the process of creating, the process of becoming, because there's less pressure. I'm able to make mistakes. I'm able to fail and try again and again and again. And it's actually reminding me of this kind of scrappy mindset I had to have when I first started my business way back in 2019, or even just before then. You know, you have to be a bit scrappy. You have to be consistent. You have to keep motivating yourself, and that is challenging. But again, there's a softness and there's an appreciation to that slow, steady build, because you don't know where your effort is going to take you. And sometimes with the online world, especially, it does feel like you're just shouting out into the void because there's so many online voices. You know, it feels like, are you ever really going to be heard? You can't see the result just yet. But slowly but surely, you see these little results trickle through. And anyway, that's what spurred me on to do this series on Patreon. And that series is called the Like You Love Yourself series. And I don't know where this came from in my brain. I know the moment kind of something landed. I was teaching class one evening and I happened to say this phrase, move like you love yourself. And I was like, that's nice. That's quite delicious. Okay, let's work with that a little bit more. And so I started thinking about it, and then I was like, hang on, why don't we do everything like we love ourselves? And why don't we break it down into chunks? And I was like, okay, cool. What happens when we breathe like we love ourselves? What happens when we nourish like we love ourselves? You know, pay attention to the foods we're eating, you know? And it just set me off this whole different tangent. And as a result, we have a 7-day free challenge happening on Patreon right now for the 7th to the 14th of July, the Like You Love Yourself series. And I'm so excited about it. So day one, we have move like you love yourself. And even like I recorded this practice for Patreon. And even at this moment, I had no idea what I was creating. If you've watched the first day, if you've watched the first video, you'll hear me say like, I don't know where this idea is taking me, but I'm just letting it take me. And again, that's a beautiful thing. When you're a small business, when you're a small creator, when you're just slowly figuring this out, it's just letting ideas take you. If something lands in your brain, let it take you, let it launch you into wherever it's heading, and just fully surrender to the process. It's a beautiful thing. So yes, we have move like you love yourself, day one. Day two, write like you love yourself. And I'm so pleased with this because I created this gorgeous little journal prompt sheet on a PDF that's attached to the post on Patreon that you can scribble onto your heart's content, and there's a space, there's an opportunity to literally write yourself a little love letter. And then day three is breathe like you love yourself, you know, savoring each inhale, each exhale, and the little gifts that they are, the gifts that they offer. Day four, nourish like you love yourself. So yes, paying attention to the foods we're eating, but actually seeing, you know, eating not just out of necessity, not just out of like a function of the body to keep the body and the brain kind of ticking and whirring over, but actually seeing it as this like sensual, emotional human experience. And I don't want to go into that too deeply, but yeah, again, there's a beautiful post on nourish like you love yourself. Day five, of course, there's going to be dance like you love yourself. Like it wouldn't be me if I didn't just have like a fun free movement opportunity in there. Day six, live like you love yourself, which is a gorgeous little vlog. And again, I'm trying not to give too much away, but it's just lighting me up so much. And then finally, day seven, rest like you love yourself. It's so beautiful. It's unfolding in the most magical way. And I don't know where it's going to lead from here. But again, that's the beauty of it, right? So if you're joining me for the 7 days, let me know how you're getting on with it. I really hope you're enjoying it. As I say, it's free for 7 days. And then you're going to be able to purchase it as a collection, as a bundle, okay? But of course, if you become a member of the Patreon, you will get access to it at any point. So yes, that's a shameless little plug for something that I'm doing on Patreon, okay? But as I say, it's free for 7 days. Get in on that. And then if you want to stick around and say for whatever else comes out of this strange, spontaneous little brain of mine, then I hope you do. I think this space is going to become, more of a space for embodied, free movements, that playful curiosity. And actually, that's something I've realized over the past few months of having this space, in becoming or stepping into the role of being an online teacher. I thought I had to deliver certain things. I've got to deliver the vinyasa practices. I've got to deliver, stuff for beginners, okay? But actually, I can just teach what's lighting me up, and that's how it should be. So this is lighting me up right now, and yeah, do come join. And then with the Like You Love Yourself series, now, it might be a coincidence. I don't think it is. But this series has happened to fall on the week in which I am, what's the word? Do I want to say celebrate? Yeah, I actually am going to say celebrate. In the week where I'm celebrating my 2 years of freedom. Literally today is I don't want to say anniversary, but I guess it is. It's the anniversary of my heartbreak. And yeah, I want to talk about it a little bit. Now, I shared a video on my Instagram and on my TikTok this morning, with like a little transformation or a little overview of the past 2 years, because I look back at this girl that I was, and I just want to send her so much love. And then I look at me now and I just feel like it's unrecognizable. There's so many aspects to myself then that I don't quite recognize, and it almost doesn't feel like it's me. It was like I was having an out-of-body experience for the first, 28 years of my life. And now I feel like I'm the most me I have ever been. And I'm so grateful for it. I can actually sit here and say that I am grateful for this heartbreak. I'm grateful for everything that led up to that moment and everything that has happened since. But the thing I want to talk about mostly today is, the body remembers, okay? So I have a thing about dates anyway. I always seem to remember specific dates within a year. I remember what I was doing last year. And yes, sure, I journal. So whenever I'm looking back at my journal, I do get reminders. But it's it's a felt sense experience in my body where I remember those moments. I remember the days prior. I remember the days after. I remember the day itself with such visceral feeling that sometimes that's what kind of stops me in my tracks a little bit. So yes, I'm so grateful for where I am now. I'm so grateful for how everything has unfolded. But I won't lie, there are moments where I notice that remembering. And a few days ago, I was feeling the approach of the day, and I just kind of felt myself slow down a little bit. I felt myself kind of sitting, staring, thinking, maybe even overthinking. And it was because my body was remembering the approach of this day and how much I was stuck, still thinking, overanalyzing, questioning, wondering, and just feeling stuck and not knowing where to go. And I had no idea how I was going to feel on this day. I think what I remember most is that flood of love. The flood of love, literally the I've said this before on the podcast, but I've said this phrase before, it felt like the cavalry was coming. I'm in this car park, having just walked out of my flat, walked out of my life that I've worked so hard to create so far, thinking it was the life that I wanted, but then realizing it wasn't the life for me. I had to walk away from that. I got in my car, drove to a car park, a random car park, and broke, quite simply broke. And, I left behind this situation, this life that was keeping me small, that was keeping me boxed in, that was restraining me. It felt like I was like shackled, and I broke free from those shackles, but I just had to keep walking. I think that's why I got in my car. I just had to have some sort of forward momentum. And I got to this car park. I rang my mum and dad, and as I say, I broke. And that's okay. That breaking needed to happen, and then the cavalry came. That flood of love came from my family, from my closest friends. I'm so grateful for that. And maybe if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have ever, felt that support from my family, because up until then, I hadn't really needed to. I was good. I was cruising. I was figuring out my life, But then in that moment, I needed family, and they were there within a heartbeat. Less than that, that feeling of just people rushing to hold me, because I've never needed that before up until then. And then it's the moments after, I returned back to my flat, my ex had then left, and then I was then left with this mess that I had to rebuild. And the rebuilding happened straight away. Even though I'm feeling such heaviness, I'm feeling such grief, such heartbreak, this crushing weight of emotions. And even still, I was already beginning to rebuild. Literally, I got back home and I started packing up his things straight away. I started compartmentalizing. I started filing things away in particular places, and I was like, okay, I'll deal with that box later, knowing that I will deal with that box later. And I did. I have done the work. And that's like a physical representation of literally filing things away. And then there's that emotional representation of kind of filing things away. But like I said, I have done the work. And I've just had a realization as well. I'm sat on my sofa. I'm sat in the space where my ex used to sit. And I'm sat in the space where we had this final conversation. And again, everything is just so different now. I've got a fucking disco ball hanging from my curtain rail. I'm surrounded by so much colour, so much greenery. And I fucking love it. I love it so much. It just brings me so much joy. And again, it's these reminders. So I let the body remember these things. I let myself feel these things, because then it's a reminder of what's now. And I know sometimes, you're encouraged to just completely let go of what once was, welcome it in what is now. And I sometimes even say that in practice, in class. But actually, I don't think it's a complete letting go or a complete forgetting of what once was. I actually think it's an honouring. It's an honouring of who you once were, the girl I once was. It's an honouring of the many layers you had to then shed and peel away. It's an honouring of the people you have met since, the aspects of yourself that you have had to confront. It's an honouring that you kept going regardless. And I think that's why I still want to talk about this 2 years on, because it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to move through heartbreak, grief, whatever it is, time takes time, But that honouring makes it all worthy of, again, being seen over and over again. That honouring reminds me that the story is worthy of being shared over and over again. And even in sharing again this morning, it opens up potential communication. The stories I've had flood into my inbox today, some incredible stories of women just having to really trudge through the sludge, the stickiness, and rise again and again and again. Beautiful stories, and I'm so grateful for anyone who has ever shared their story with me. And I'm so proud of you all too. And again, I want you to honour your story, because If it weren't for that, you wouldn't be who you are now. You wouldn't have gotten to the place you are now. And yes, that doesn't mean to say that this, whatever it was, it should have happened to you. Really, there's some situations where none of that should happen to anyone. But yes, it did. But yes, you moved through it and look at where you are now. And so again, it's this reminder that there's people still going through heartbreak, grief, trauma right now. Mine might have been 2 years ago, but there's people in it right now. There's people where I was 2 years ago right now. And every time I talk about this heartbreak, every time I tell my story, it's for those people too who are in it right now, who have no idea where they're heading, no idea what's around the corner. It's for them. And it's for the many more people in the future, because unfortunately it is one of those things, you know. And I suppose it's a reminder that life is just going to get so much more colourful. There's a key phrase that I actually first said to my ex in this breakup conversation, where I said, I have a life to be lived too. And I have not stopped saying that phrase ever since. You all have a life to be lived. You all have a life that's worthy of being experienced, okay? Life is to be lived, so go out and fucking live it. And live it in full HD, live it in full colour. Seek out adventure, seek out possibility. As I always say, you never know where it's going to take you next. Say yes to things that lift you up, that give you that surge of energy. And yes, say no to the things that you know you do not have time for, that aren't going to serve you, that are going to ask too much of you. You know, you know what's for you and what isn't for you now. And it's through these experiences that we just shape ourselves even more. I have such a stronger sense of self now. I know who I am, and it's completely different to what I expected. You know, if I asked my 13-year-old self what I imagine myself to look like, the person I imagine myself to be, it's nothing like who I am now, but boy, it's even better. If I told my younger self that I'd be frolicking around the gaff with vibrant pink hair, I'd be like, absolutely not. But I love it. I love this life of mine, and I am grateful for everything that has happened. I am thankful that heartbreak happened to me, because it also happened for me. And I'm sure there will come a time where I perhaps no longer discuss heartbreak in this, or to this extent, with this intensity. You know, everything softens over time. Maybe there will be a year where this date rolls around and I barely acknowledge it, or I sometimes think that there will be a year where I really reclaim this day and I do something wild. I had a friend message me today saying, like, go do something bold, you know, go get your tongue pierced or something like that. Don't worry, mother, I'm not getting my tongue pierced. Or I don't know, there'll be something one year where I really reclaim this day. Softening continues. My body will continue to remember less and less. But there's something to be said for, again, just allowing yourself to feel what the body remembers. And I taught this morning in the same studio that I taught the first day after the heartbreak. And I remember that class vividly as well. I think I just put everyone into Shavasana and talked. And I talked, I cried. I cried a lot in that session, and no one knew. Which is great. Like, I wouldn't have been able to get through it if everyone did know. But it was a moment where, again, teaching just allows me to feel. And I felt it in that class 2 years ago. And I felt it in this class this morning. Teaching allows me to feel. I've said it before, but I am certainly in the best profession for me. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. So yes, let your body remember and allow yourself to feel it too. Again, it's just little reminders of what once was, what is now, what could be, and honouring it all. Honouring the many versions of you it took for you to get here. So, if you are going through a heartbreak right now, if you are experiencing grief, trauma, the heavy emotions that come with this time, life is going to get so much more colourful. And again, you have a life worthy of being lived. That is a phrase I'm going to shout from the rooftops until my lungs collapse, until my last breath on this earth. You have a life worthy of being lived, so go and live it. And I want to see you all living it. I want to see what you get up to. You know, share your adventures with me. Share your stories with me, of course. Share your stories of heartbreak. Share whatever you have had to move through, okay? But then tell me your adventures too, okay? Show me what you have done since, because I promise you there's something in that. Even if it feels like you've barely done anything and maybe it's taken you years, maybe you've been sat in that stickiness for years, there's something in that because you are still doing the work. And again, whether it takes 1 year, 2 years, whether it takes you a month, it doesn't matter. Feel it. Move through it. After all, healing happens through feeling. And I know we all hate the phrase healing journey, but there's nothing quite like it. There's no other words to describe it. It is a journey. It is a process. And it's magical. It's messy. So I am going to do something for myself today. I don't quite know what it is. I'm going to do something to honour this day. So in that, I hope you also take the time to honour this day, honour every day that you get to live this life. Do something for you. Do something that makes you feel great, loved, appreciated. Show yourself that love that you know you deserve. And maybe you're listening to this approaching a heartbreak. Maybe you know something is coming, okay? It's the same for me. I knew something was coming and I just needed to take that step, okay? I needed that nudge. So maybe this is the nudge you needed, because I promise you, life is going to get so much better. And it's going to be so much more colourful, so much more magical, I promise. I can't promise it even more than I already have done. But yes, honour this day. Do something for you. Go get yourself an ice cream. Go bask in the sun. Go swim in a lake. I don't know. Go scream into the wind, whatever it is. Honour this day. Honour you. Honour your journey. Because I'm so proud of you. And you should be too. All right, loves, I'm going to wrap it up there. Join me online for the Like You Love Yourself series on Patreon. Join me in person for those magical community vibes always. Join me wherever. Instagram, TikTok. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I love you. All right, loves. Have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday. And I'll see you next time. Mwah.